Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. All right, folks, here we are after market close on Friday, October 6th. We're going to take an updated look at T2 today. So we're going to start here on the intraday, see how our levels held up. Then we're going to flip over to the daily. I have a new level or two to put in. And then we're going to flip over to the think or swim study and see where things are situated in the channel, as well as with the TTM squeeze indicator. So price action sort of yesterday into today. So yesterday we see it came down. It couldn't even get to this 20 level after the pre-market, and just kind of had a blah day, to be honest. Didn't reach back up to the 20, didn't reach all the way down to the 18, and just kind of waffled around here in the middle. Now it started to make some moves in the after hours, as you see here, including a big move up here, bypassing a couple of levels, came back down and reconfirmed those levels, which is what you want to see if you are sort of teeing up a nice run. And what did we see in pre-market? It was basing over the levels that it had come through in the big after hours push. And then it made its move right at open. Came up, skipped a couple of levels, rejected off that 2447 that we had on the chart, came down and reconfirmed the 2194, which is the pre-market level, and then flipped support and reconfirmed the 2278. So this is what you want to see when it flips some levels, or sorry, when it bypasses some levels. And then it comes up here nice and smooth and steady and starts wrestling with this 2447, which is what it had rejected off of at open, and builds a nice base over there. Then hops above this 2520, and then hops above this 2578, and ultimately then sticks there into close, still wrestling, as you see, with this 2633 level. Now, a couple of updates that I see here that I'm going to make. One, I'm going to take this level from questionable to confirmed, as well as this level. Just a little bit of additional price action, but it was sort of critical enough that I feel confident putting those levels in. We'll see what 2688 does, if anything, or if there's not really anything between this 2633 and this 2750. So really happy with how the levels played out today, and those are the only adjustments I'm going to make there. Now on the daily, one big thing to note. So there was this gap that we had. See this gap up here? 1833 up to 1991. You see this here candle? Filled that puppy up. It actually didn't come down quite to 1833, so says Webull anyway. It says the low of the day was 1837. That said, a fraction of a penny may not be necessary to come up and do any more work. So I'm going to move this gap to today's gap. So keep in mind, now we have another gap up. Question is, will this need to be filled? And if so, how quickly? That would be entering the gap at 2175. If it were to pull back and dip below 2175, it would be entering this gap. It would complete a gap fill there at 2029. We have a support level just above the gap, and we have a support level just above the gap fill. So interesting. We will see what happens with that in the days and weeks to come. As you see, this only took about a trading week to fill. Right, it gapped up here. And then that was candle 1, 2, 3, 4, filled it on 5. So we'll see. But the nice thing is, if I'm a bull, before we leave the Webull chart here, is you see our swings, right? You see a swing, and now the next swing is in progress. So the nice thing that we have is this swing down, much lower than this swing down. So the two most recent swings to the downside are higher, making higher lows. Obviously, what you want to see as a bull. This swing high and this swing high. Obviously, we don't know if this swing high is even done, but even if it is, today's high is higher than the previous swing high, so making higher highs. So moral of the story, the TLDR, it's making higher highs and higher lows That's obviously what you'd want to see. That's how something builds sort of uptrend support or an up channel, something to that effect. It's not taking shape yet. Everything is still quite a bit too herky-jerky, especially with this gap still hanging out here. But it's just to note the most recent swings, higher highs and higher lows. All right, flipping over to the Think or Swim study. Let's start here on the intraday once again. So we see that big move in the after hours yesterday popped this puppy out of the channel. And what do we look for when it pops out of the channel? We look for it to pull back to that bright blue line in the center of the channel, the mid line, mid-range, midline, whatever you want to call it. And we're really interested to see what it does there. What it did here was extra interesting because not only was it holding support, but it also started to trigger on the TTM squeeze indicator. And then it fired, and it didn't do a darn thing until open. Then it got really erratic, right? Quick leave, that wasn't the move. It needed to retest the mid-range of the channel after this quick leap out of the channel and re-trigger again. So it spent all this time triggering as it's hugging the channel, and then a little bit of a hiccup fire, and then here's the real fire. And this brought it from about 23 up through the highs at the moment, pushing toward 27. So really good move there. I would be happy to see that, not only because it's holding mid-range of the channel, but as the day progressed, holding this this cloud as support, not even needing to come down and retest the mid-range of the channel. Now, a quick check on the hour to see where we are there, stretching well outside the upper bound of the channel. So at some point, I would anticipate it to come down and test the mid-range. That's situated right around 23 at the moment, but that will move as additional candles get put in. So it probably won't be there come market open next week. So we'll see where it is. You do see still continuing to build bullish momentum on the TTM squeeze indicator. Nice call out here, long trigger as it was hugging the mid-range of the channel, and then a counter move as it fired, and then the real move kicked things off. Now on the daily, so we are last check-in here. If we can get this to show, all right, a little bit tougher to see, but this is, seems much more tame, right? Pushed the upper bound of the channel, struggled, lost the mid-range, pushed the lower bound of the channel, but no movements out of the channel. So on the daily, even with these big moves, still just reverting to the mid-range of the channel with today's candle, based off of a push off the bottom bound of the channel in days gone by. So nothing nearly as wild as we see on the lower time frames there. All right, folks, I hope that you had a good trading week and that you enjoy your long weekend. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.